Welcome. Tonight's performances are based on the interviews done by the members of our theater society soon after the events at Menashat, California in February of 2023. The interviews were filmed. Tonight's performances will be based on those interviews as well as available primary resources such as newspapers, letters, recordings, and security camera footage.
Okay, I'm just gonna start with the story. So, when I was younger, way before I was involved with law enforcement, I wanted to be an artist. And this was New York. I lived in a 5th floor walk-up, tiny studio. So, I wanted to be a painter. I'd wait tables during the day, and I'd do watercolors at night. I stayed till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and that was when I noticed I had this neighbor. I'd hear his alarm go off at 3:30, and then he'd say, "Not again." And then at exactly 4:15, I'd hear him go out the door and descend on the stairs. But I never saw him. One night I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to see the guy. So at exactly 4:15, I heard him fumble with the lock, and my door had this big peephole, like this big. So I turned off my own light and slid the little metal plate aside, and then I pressed my eye up against the hole. And I screamed. An involuntary scream. A real scream, it's not like a movie scream. It's like... So I scream and I fall against the bathroom. Huge commotion as I hit the door because when I slid the plate aside, I saw an eye. He was looking in at me. So I'm on the floor and I just freeze. And I think I have to see this guy, right? So I get up and I go back to the peephole, and there's that eye again. It's mine. It's the reflection of my own eye. I realized this with just enough time to see the freaked out postman descending down the stairs. The only other time I heard that scream was when I heard 241 people make it all at once that night. That was the most scared I've ever been, and it was just me scaring me. I told Candelaria this story, and she said, "You're missing a part of the lesson." Yes, it was mostly about being startled, but what was the first thing you did? You flipped off the light. People are naturally scared of the dark.
"911, what's your emergency?
I'm not sure.
Is it a life-threatening situation?
Yes.
Is everybody safe?
No.
All right, I'm sending someone. More than one. What's your name, Chica?
Angela.
Angela. And I'm sending them to the Oak Box, is that right?
Yes.
And the high school's in there. They're doing a play in there, is that where you are?
Yes.
In the theater?
Yes.
And somebody's hurt.
Everybody.
Say that again. Where are you in the theater?
I'm just standing on the stage.
Take a very, very deep breath. Hold it.
None of it made any sense. All of a sudden, this tiny town is a site of a tragedy that nobody's ever seen or heard of. 241 people fall unconscious while watching a high school play that the program tells us is called Trap. There were only few events of the timeline. We know that the people are fine at 11 after 8 because that's when the usher texts her older brother to pick her up after the show. Then she comes into the theater and turns off her phone. At 9:10, 2 kids sitting on a ridge below the theater hear what they think is a foghorn but assume it's part of the play. At 9:22, we get the 911 call. A girl named Angela Weir, who turns out is the only person still conscious. When we finally get her out of there, she won't speak. She either doesn't know what happened or she's too scared to say it.
The Oak Box was international news. I was hiking in the hills near Clovis, New Zealand when I first heard about it. People fallen unconscious in a theater. That was key.
Yes.
I had conflicting thoughts. I thought, how horrible. And I thought, there it is. There's our group.
I didn't find out about it until the next morning when it was on every single channel. I got that weird feeling you get when you see something on TV that's right in your neighborhood. The Oak Box? Again? That can't be a coincidence. That would Jonathan was like, that was 77 years ago, but I remember thinking, I don't care if it was 77 years ago. One theater, two tragedies. There's gotta be a connection.
Letter from Laurel Pike to Ireland Pike, May 25th, 1947. He said, yes, Ireland, I can't tell you how happy I am. Saturday night, we walked up on the bluff. We stared out at the lights of the ships. And when he looked away, I bent down on one knee. I held out grandfather's wedding band. He said, what are you doing? I said, what does it look like I'm doing? He said, that's not how it's done. I said, Jonathan, we're going to be married for at least 50 years. No one needs to know how I began. Adelaide, I feel lit from within, electrified. But I promise this time, not in a bad way. Must rush off. The Crawleys are coming over for dinner, and I have to buy another sofa.
At 1947, local boy vanished. 10-year-old Marcus Tumble was reported missing by his parents Tuesday night after he disappeared during a family picnic. He'd been playing hide and seek with his cousins, said his father Guillermo. Then they went to play on the beach below Semper Bluff, and he didn't come back. Marcus is 5 feet 2 inches tall and was wearing white shorts and a long black sweater. He's missing a front tooth.
Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, June 7th, 1947. Dear sister, every moment of every day is the happiest time of my life. The only shadow is that it's so easy to tip Jonathan into silence. He was so quiet after I made that joke about the kilt he was wearing for the Scottish festival. Then yesterday I said, darling, please don't misconstrue this. I'm glad your business failed. Finally, you're all mine.
Okay, June 5th, 1947. Yesterday,
Los Angeles Times, September 2nd, 1947. For the first time in history, the residents of the Placid farming community of Menachap, California, are locking their doors. The disappearance of 10-year-old Marcus Tumble has unsettled this town, an hour and a half north of Santa Barbara. Marcus disappeared while at a family reunion beneath an area called Semper Bluff. In absence of plausible natural reasons, residents are looking at each other warily. Marcus's mother, Thea, finds it suspicious that he should go missing on the day of the Scottish festival. All those men we've never seen before walking around town wearing dresses. The police say there's no evidence, but I don't need evidence.
Manitoba Herald, September 24th, 1947. Men arrested in Marcus Tumble case. Police on Thursday announced that they've taken into custody a suspect in the case of missing 10-year-old Marcus Tumble. The man in custody is 33.
Jonathan! Adelaide, they put Jonathan in jail. It's unbelievable. They say that he has something to do with that boy who went missing. It's ridiculous. They won't even say why they suspect him.
Letter from Gandermain Esquire to Sampson Von Esquire. The trial proceeds well. On the stand, Mrs. Tumble pointed to a scratch on the float ring that was in Mr. Mollusc's furnished room. She positively identified it as the float ring that belonged to her son. Now, Mrs. Tumble is our only ally. Watch the jury as they watch Miss Pike. When her fiancé grimaces, she grimaces. When he looks downcast, so does she. She impeaches herself as a character witness, and she will be desperate to testify on his behalf. We must not appear too eager.
Excerpt from the transcript of the trial at the courthouse by the sea. Cross-examination of Jonathan Mills.
So, this float ring, you claim to have picked it up on the beach, is that correct?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I just did.
Were you afraid you might drown?
Laughter in the courtroom.
Objection.
Sustained.
So, on the afternoon of May 30th, the same afternoon Marcus Tumble disappeared, you claim to have been taking a long walk, a 4-hour walk, on the beach, is that right?
Yes.
Were you in the habit of taking 4-hour walks in the middle of your workday?
No.
Have you ever taken such a walk?
No.
Did anyone see you?
It was a week down the minute.
You work at Mose Limited, shipping and transcription, as a typist, right?
Yes.
How long has that been your employment?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. And you felt comfortable taking 4 hours off.
I needed to think about the world, about my place.
So you took this walk without telling anyone. Jonathan, right?
I wrote a note saying I wasn't feeling well.
And who did you give this note to?
It was meant for my supervisor, Mr. Clark. I let it drop in a mere pocket.
Manitoba Herald, November 12th. Break announced. Swift justice. After After deliberating for only 5 hours, the Jonathan Mullins jury announced a guilty verdict on the count of kidnapping, as well as on the count of murder. There was a commotion in the first row when Mullins' fiancée began to wail so loudly that she had to be forcibly removed from the courtroom. But the murder was never to spend 1 minute behind bars. In an extraordinary scene, 2 hours later, the boy's father and 3 armed men rushed the bailiff as they made their way from the courthouse by the sea to the transport. The assailants grabbed Mr. Mullins and pulled him into the ocean, where they held his head underwater until it was completely still. A witness reported that the incident confirmed Mullins' guilt, as he had made not a move to free himself, allowing himself to be held underwater without a struggle. November 17th, body of child found. On Wednesday, construction workers at the site of the Civic Theater uncovered the body of a child. Authorities have confirmed that Marcus Tumble was found beneath the trap door of the Long Delayed Theater. It's a 1 in a million tragedy, said construction supervisor Clifton Nails. The theater was sealed for safety, but one of the lower windows had come unlatched. He must have climbed in. From there, he appears to have peered into the still shallow trap door. When the heavy door fell shut, he wouldn't have had a chance.
Los Angeles Times, February 2nd.
Time Magazine, February 2nd.
The opening night of our Civic Theater was home to the most extraordinary experience by this community.
The long-awaited opening of the Minichap Theater will be remembered.
The tragedy known by every member of this town.
The opening of the theater is finally underway.
With the night drenched in a sudden squall, the capacity audience stashed their umbrellas, shook off their coats, eager to put the events of the past few months out of their heads.
The audience watched, wept, as Medea, passionately played by Broadway actress Lenya Rasmussen, called her children to her breast one final time. But as Medea wailed her vengeance, Norma Pike, fiancée of the unfortunate accused Jonathan Mullins, entered the theater, dressed in green.
Less a dress than a costume.
Dressed like the ocean.
She held aloft the glass.
Tall and green, full of liquid.
Held it high, like a torch, and proclaimed,
Welcome to this theater. Your theater.
most of the audience would later report that they believed her to be part of the performance.
This ugly box of a theater will become famous, but not in the way you hoped. No one will remember this dang showboat without thinking of the 3 people who died because of it. The boy would suffocate. The man murdered because of the boy. And the woman who cursed the building for all time by drowning in it!
Which they had as,
She brought the glass to her mouth and tipped it back.
Poured it straight into her throat.
aspirated the entire contents of the glass.
Swallowed it without swallowing.
Her eyes bored into the audience until they went dark, and she fell dead to the floor.
In front of 700 people, Miss Pike drowned herself with a glass of seawater.
Page 71, Monte, California, by Naomi Samuelson. In the years of the triple tragedy, dozens of people, mourning sweethearts, schoolboard veterans, have looked up at the scene of the villain and the fear of it, and scenes of fear. The shade of the twilight flash is a woman. She holds a sea green cup and surrounding invitation. Don't treat me.
After the incident at the Oak Box happened, one of the things we wanted to know was, why Minichap? Why the Oak Box? My theory was that they wanted to choose a place that already had some fear built into it, just by being in the building. Everyone knew the story of Normal Pike, but it's a local tragedy. On an impulse, really, I googled scary theaters. It's the top result. 4 terrifying theaters. Princess Theatre, Melbourne, Australia. Manila Film Center, Quezon City, Philippines. Theatre Royale, Drury Lane, London. And then there it is, 4th out of 4. The Oak Box, Minichap, California. I got chills because I realized That's how they found the oak box.
Exactly 18 hours after the oak box incident. 236 audience members and 5 members of the cast. On the ground, breathing, thank God. But 2 mysteries. What happened to these people? That was the main question, of course. Then second were the doors. What happened to these doors?
Can you tell us your name, please?
I'm Avishai Lenson. I'm the Chief Forensic Engineer with the California Department of Construction.
Efren Salas. I'm a firefighter with Station 41 in Manashap County.
My name is Isa Fuentes. I'm a neurobiologist at UC Berkeley.
I was the first person into the theater that night. I saw the girl on stage. I'm the one that carried her out. Before I picked her up, she said the thing we couldn't figure out. 4 words.
The first thing I noticed was the absence of what's called relative resonance. It's the tendency of people who know each other in tragic situations to cluster. After a fire, you'll find the bodies of friends holding each other, or a parent will be wrapped around a child. But the bodies in the oak box were different. People who weren't related sometimes fell on top of each other. People who loved each other in life sprawled in different directions.
Leader camera 1. What about this girl?
Sarah.
She's already on her way out of the theater. Was she leaving early?
No, look at the way she fell. She was running.
She broke headphones. She wasn't paying attention to the play.
Can you tell what she was listening to?
It's classic. Gymnopedy number 1.
Gymnopedy number 1 by Eric Satie.
Yeah.
Something else feels strange. Hedge. Something wrong?
I didn't know you knew my name.
What do you notice about the positions of the bodies?
The programs. So many people are holding them.
I noticed that too.
Like this. Like they've been trying to read them up until the last second.
What could overcome them that fast? Maybe it was an electrical impulse, or maybe some kind of gas had overcome them. We scoured the ventilation system. There was nothing.
I was in the theater a lot. I wanted to spend time with them.
I said to the firemen, any thoughts on what could have overcome these people so fast?
How do you know it's fast?
Of course it was fast.
That's when they brought me in. Figuring out how long a body has been unconscious is actually not that hard to do if you have the right equipment. When a person loses consciousness, the body temperature drops by 2.5 degrees. But that takes a while, so we attached electrodes to the foreheads, microthermometers. And what we found was a surprise, to say the least.
It didn't make any sense.
The first one to fall was Paul Schmidt in C813. Next was Anna Stroheim, 3 rows back in D41. The first 26 people didn't lose consciousness all at the same time. They went down one by one.
I said, are you sure of this?
Leader camera 1 continues.
Positive. Look at the seating chart for the oak box that night. A13, D41, what do you see?
Nothing.
Next, F42.
So, front row, aisle, and the other side of the aisle.
Then it was Lila Regine, L19.
The back of row L is horizontal to the aisle in the middle. It started at the front, the back, and the sides.
Exactly. It worked that way until the 26th person, Franklin James.
I know Frank.
Whatever happened to these people, started off at the edge and worked its way in. It's something cooking.
This doesn't seem like a natural phenomenon. It seems like attackers. 241 people fall unconscious one by one like they'd gotten stuck up on. But that doesn't make any sense because they could see the people falling around them. There's no... I don't see how a human could do this.
Meaning what?
I'm not sure.
Wait, you guys shut up for a second. You guys hear that? There. It's like a chirp.
I don't hear anything.
There it is again. The bodies. They're making some sort of noise.
Which bodies?
All of them.
On Sunday morning, we had 2 mysteries. On Sunday afternoon, we had 3. happened to these people? And what were the sounds Ephraim was hearing? And these doors. These people had 45 minutes to leave, and those doors behind you were wide open.
Officials are baffled today by events in a small California town.
In our top story tonight, a mystery.
Un evento misterioso.
On Monday morning, we put out footage. The tips came flooding in. By noon, we had gotten messages from 5 continents. I pulled investigators out from other counties to check out every single lead we had.
I got the sludge pile, which was bigger than all the other piles combined and had more crazy than I knew in the world.
Stop putting all the dead people on TV. I'll help you if you help me. Stop putting all the dead people on TV. I'll help you if you help me. Transcript of call from Seattle, Washington to Oak Box Hotline, October 7th at 7:32 p.m.
Box hotline.
Hello, my name is Marion J. I'm a professor at the University of Washington. What I'm about to say will sound crazy.
Uh-huh.
Is this a secure line?
Yes. Why?
I'm going to tell you something, but you have to promise not to hang up on me.
I can't promise that.
You've got a theater full of people who fallen unconscious.
Yeah?
And by now you've probably found out that they've been attacked one by one.
How do you know that?
I think you might be dealing with something called Faranox.
Faranox? What are Faranox?
Start with what they're not, which is human.
Now I'm gonna hang up.
Are your victims still alive?
Yeah?
They won't be if you hang up. You have 1 week until their hearts start to stop.
Faranox.
They look human, but they're not.
Why haven't I heard of these things?
Hello? Hello? Sorry, I thought I heard something. You haven't heard of Faranox because they don't want you to, and because the attacks are rare. Faranox are like locusts. They attack every 16 years. The last attack was in Golspik, Scotland. The attack before that was in Iceland, and then 16 years before that, and then 16 years before that. This is a swarming behavior. These creatures attack, mate, and then they all die. All except one. And what this means is that all Faranox are 16 years old, but one.
Okay, thank you. I have made notes of your call, and we'll get back to you if necessary.
Were there an unusually high amount of new students in Manitowoc High School this year?
Yeah?
And at least one teacher?
The theater teacher.
What happened to the old one?
She died.
Suddenly and with no apparent cause.
Why wouldn't anyone else have heard of these things?
Oh!
What?
Nothing. My house must have blown a fuse. I can't see a thing. There are 4 of us who are trying to hunt down these Faranox, but at the same time, they're hunting us. Of course, they have an advantage.
Which is what?
They know for sure that we exist.
Who are the other 3 people studying these things?
There's a zoologist from Colombia named Cuera Muguruza. There's an evolutionary biologist named Melissa Tengen, and a professor from the University of Toronto. He studies fear. Who's there? Who's there?
Then I heard a clip.
Call ends at 7:37.
I tried to call back, but the line wouldn't go through. I stood there and I knew I had a decision to make. I could either march into Sergeant Brock's office and say, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I might be onto something. Or I could move on to the next call. But as ridiculous as he sounded, I believed him. But I was near at work and I was already screwing up. I moved on to the next call.
From the obituary of Marion J., Professor of Neuroscience at the University of Washington. Professor J was well-liked and well-respected. His unexpected passing has thrown a cloud over the campus. He is lived on by his parents, Martin and Pandela J., and through his grandmother, Thelma Lampton.
Interview with Kenosha Silverlink Johnson, October 5th, 8:15 a.m. Second floor counseling office, Manishap High School.
But when she was 3 weeks old,
she had a seizure. We were afraid we'd lose her. You could tell right away something had changed.
I remember Kenosha's first day at Manchap, because she got up to the audition board and the string holding the pen was broken. And so I said, if you want to audition, I've got a pen. And she said, my name is Kenosha R. Simberling Johnson.
So the joke very quickly went around. I don't know who said it first, but that the R.
The R. The R.
The R was to distinguish herself from all the other Kenosha Simberling Johnsons.
The kids at our old school would be so mean. Menachap was supposed to be a fresh start.
Thinking back, that really wasn't a good idea because you always had that little bit of distance.
Kenosha had all the normal emotions, grief and happiness and nervousness, but they weren't wired right. Like, she'd grimace to say, I love you. She spent her whole life studying people's expressions, and she got pretty good at showing the right emotion, but she was acting. It was like she was doing it phonetically. But there was one thing she could never manage, and that was to lie. There was too much going on. What do you do with your hands? Do your eyes look up or down? She couldn't calibrate the information.
She once told me she couldn't come to homecoming with me because her uncle was an astronaut. I don't know why she said that, but it's not like I was going to ask her out or anything. Still made me feel bad.
I'd give her lessons. I'd say, the situation is, you're 2 hours late and I'm trying to reach you. I'm frantic and I'm angry. Go. She'd go blank. Now you tell me that your phone ran with juice. And she was awful. I'd say, Kenosha, you have got to master this or you're going to have the worst teenage years of anybody on earth.
The bench incident really was an accident, you know? You know those long lunch tables with the really long benches? Well, Kenosha was sitting alone at one of those, so I went up behind her and I asked, hey, is anyone sitting here? And she said no. So I grabbed the bench and I moved it over to our table so we could fit more people. Of course, in the long run, that actually worked out for her because when she was alone, it wasn't a Clifton went over there.
Oh, Clifton, where to start?
Clifton's kind of perfect.
I think it's just, he's really, really nice.
Kind.
So sweet.
We don't have any prom or homecoming royalty or anything like that, but if we did, he'd be both kings.
He just went over to her and asked if he could sit next to her.
There was one thing actually. When I saw her for the first time, her phone rang. And without saying who it was, she made herself smile. It was when she answered the phone that you could really hear it in her voice.
Next thing you know, I look over. They're in the cafeteria. She's making them laugh.
Most of the time she was funny on purpose. But when she wasn't, this one time I was laughing so hard.
His hand literally hits the table.
She once said, I like you more than water.
You'd see them everywhere together. He'd laugh and put his arm around her neck.
I couldn't tell if it was romantic or not.
So it's barely a week into school, and there's the new girl standing in front of the audition board, only the string holding the pen is broken.
I had been interested in auditioning, so I did some research. I read Udo Hagen's Respect for Acting. It's a pretty famous book, and it's great. You should read it if you get into acting at all.
We had talked about the idea of Kenosha being involved in theater because I thought she would be quite good. She was so good at mimicking motions. I said, well, sweetheart, go for it.
That story that you told so many people makes some of them anxious, scared them.
Did they cancel the play? It didn't scare them though.
Why do you want the play to
Something bad is going to happen.
What's going to happen? Can you tell me that?
We all knew that the fall play was happening early, but we just went with it. We assumed it had something to do with the Miss Pendleton tragedy.
Such a shock. 2 days before the start of school, just bam, dropped dead of a heart attack. She was 38, didn't smoke, exercised. You know how that just happens sometimes.
She came home the day of the audition and she burst in the door. I said, how did it go? She said, I nailed it.
I saw her audition. She did great, but I said you never know.
The next day, she calls me from school and she's talking very fast. I said, what happened? She said, I didn't get a part. I said, you know, sweetheart, sometimes that happens. We don't get everything we expect. She said, but I was the best one. Even then, there could be all sorts of reasons. She said, no, something's up. The casting was pretty strange.
We're all looking at this list like, why don't I know any of these names?
Almost every kid that got a part that year was new. Almost every name on the list that year was new.
When she'd get too excited, she started to lose our skills at imitating. So I started to hear. She hung up, and I was worried something might happen.
So I was there at the next cast meeting to see if I could volunteer for tech. Only that's when Kenosha came in, and she looked like she was going to make some sort of announcement. Only she didn't. She started to make beeping noises.
That was a panic attack.
Kenosha fell down hard on one knee. She couldn't breathe. She actually crawled out of the room.
The person who tells a story over and over again, it gets a performance aspect. They subconsciously know what things are getting a reaction. And the more they tell the story, the more they lean into those aspects of it. The story doesn't get so much memorized as etched.
So she said, I'm going to tell you a story. Please just listen.
She said, please, just listen.
Please, just listen. Yesterday I made it out of the school, but it hurt my left knee.
My left knee.
Right here, so I couldn't go very fast.
I was allowed to walk home alone on the highway, as long as I faced the way that the traffic was coming from. But I looked behind me, and all of a sudden there were 3 guys, way back, and I knew I had to get away from them.
There's that big strip of forest between the highway and the Walmart, and before I jumped in, I looked again, and they were way closer. The forest is deep, but I cut through it all the time.
The forest is deep, but I cut through it all the time.
So I knew I'd have to bend it, but when I looked back,
I got so scared.
But when I looked back, I got so scared. They turned in right after me. They wanted me in the forest, and they were fast.
All of a sudden, I heard this sound, crazy loud.
The loudest thing I'd ever heard.
Ever heard?
Ever. I couldn't tell where it's coming from. I'm shaking.
I ran. I ran faster than I could see.
I looked back once, and there weren't 3 anymore.
There were 2.
Where was the other one?
And so I have to choose. Do I try to make it to the carnival parking lot, or do I cut through the forest? Because I know I'm close. But for some reason, the scariest idea is that I almost make it. That I'm just a few feet away from safety, and the third one grabs me in his arms.
And I can't do it. I can't go forward. People don't naturally look up because we've got no predators from up there. So I start climbing the tree.
I start climbing a live oak.
A live oak. And then halfway up, I freeze. The 2 of them get to me. Then the third. But they don't see me, even though they bite the ground with their eyes.
They start to argue.
They argue about whose fault it was. The 2 of them grab the third, then one of them says something in his ear. After they say something, he starts crying. And then he falls onto the root of the tree. What he whispers is, "Can I tell you a secret?"
Kenosha, can you concentrate just a little longer here? You said that their eyes lit up. Could those have been flashlights?
No, I know the difference.
Have you ever heard of anyone whose eyes lit up?
No.
And is it possible you imagined it? If what you said happened in the woods happened, there should have been 4 sets of footprints, right? They only found yours.
They erased them.
The police followed the track back to the tree just like you said. There was no body there.
They moved it.
Kenosha, and what about that sound? That sound you said seemed like it came from everywhere.
It was a foghorn.
There are no foghorns within 200 miles.
It was a foghorn.
Foghorns are an example of a phenomenon called photones. Sounds that mean different things in different contexts. In the distance, a foghorn is comforting. It tells you you're safe. But if you hear it loud, it's terrifying. You're too close. It's too late.
After the story in the woods, Kenosha wouldn't go anywhere near the South Wing. Not even to Chem Lab. And I'd say, Kenosha, you're jeopardizing your chem grade. But she wouldn't listen, and she wouldn't go anywhere near the theater.
She started talking bad about the play. She pulled me aside and she said, "This play is like a malady." I had no idea what she was talking about.
She told me it was like a sick dog, only scarier.
She said it would leave a greenish taste in my mouth.
She said, please, please, please don't go to that play. And I said, Kenosha, I'm in the play.
She was so scared to go to the play, but of course she ended up going. She thought she could save those people. My brain has an anchor right here. It weighs down my thoughts and I can't see through it.
She said, please, I like you more than water.
She told everyone she met that the play was going to end in horror. I knew she couldn't lie, and I still didn't believe her.
Email for Marion J. to Gwendolyn Hesh, October 4th, 3 days before Marion J. was found dead in his study.
Pharaohs are perfect replicas of people. These things can pass as human anywhere. They mimic our emotions. And the only person who has been ever able to detect a Pharaoh is one who had been mimicking emotions herself. It was the girl who disappeared, Kenosha.
Email from Marion J. to Gwendolyn Hesh, October 5th, 2 days before Marion J. was found dead in his study.
Miss Hedge, please respond to me. When Pharaohs attack, it's 99.9% fatal, like rabies. Once they attack, you have at least 2 weeks until the heart starts to stop. But it will stop. In the whole history of this happening, there has ever only been one survivor.
I was still working the sludge pile. I knew there was only one person who knew what happened to the theater that night. And if I was going to talk to her, I was getting an angle. So I marched to the Sergeant Brock's office without knocking and said, "Let me talk to the girl."
I said the girl's useless.
She said 4 words to that fireman, which doesn't make any sense.
She wanted out of there.
What if what she meant to say was 4 words? Like 4 words someone said that night. Let me talk to the girl. I can get those 4 words.
With all those bodies in the theater, it felt heavy and warm, like a greenhouse. It was 241 bodies, but they put IV tubes into all of them, so the IV bags were up here. And that's what you noticed at first. It's actually kind of beautiful because the theater was dark and those bags glowed.
He came to me and he said, I want to take some time off.
And he said, "I'm sorry, I need all hands on deck right now."
Efren said, and he choked up. He said, I know these people. I love these people.
I wanted to help out in the theater, see if I could figure out what were those noises that the bodies were making. He said, nobody can hear those noises except you.
And Efren said, that's why they need me.
Menashat Psychiatric Facility Stabilization Room 4, October 21st, 9:30 a.m.
Angela, can I come in? I'll just stay over here. My name is Gwendolyn Hench, and I'm one of the detectives investigating what happened in the oak box that night. Does that camera bother you? It shouldn't. There's no one watching it. It's only if something went wrong, which it won't, we could look back at the footage and see what had happened. I feel like I know you. Like whenever anyone talks about you, their whole voice bubbles up. They talk about your soccer practice, your sense of humor, and the CPR class you organized. Angela, a lot of people need your help. I have a theory about what you said to the fireman that night. He heard 4 words, but I think what you said was 4 words. Can you tell me which one of those it was? I have something I want to ask you.
Stay away from me! Get away! Somebody help me! Help me!
Serena, I'm sorry.
Theater Camera 1, October 25th, 2:45 a.m.
Anyways, Emily, I'll be back to check on you soon. Mel, this is Efren Salas. I was in your 8th year trigonometry class 14 years ago. I'm here to make sure you're safe and comfortable, but that's not all. I know you can hear me, and I think you're making noises. Not just you, but everyone else in this theater. If you can hear me, make a noise. I'll hear it. I have great hearing. Try it for me. The year I was in your math class was the year those midterms got falling off your desk before you had time to grade them. Make a noise if you remember that. For me, it's a nice memory, because I was one of 6 kids with that period free, and instead of making me a suspect, he deputized me. I was new to the school and nervous, and I never got to tell you how much that meant to me. To be trusted like that, that whole experience shaped who I wanted to be. It's part of why I fight fires, which is why I wanted to tell you. I did steal those pencils. Hey!
Quiet!
She made the noise. Nobody heard that.
You gotta keep it down.
They can hear us.
Menachap Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4.
Thank you for seeing me again.
Answer every question. Pause for more than a second and I kick you out. What's a book you read in high school English?
Hamlet.
In 15 seconds, tell me your life.
Born and raised in Indiana. Wanted to be an artist, so I moved to New York. Didn't work out, and I met my husband, so we moved here so I could pursue law enforcement. My daughter's in 3rd grade.
6 times 8.
48.
What are you most afraid of?
Millipedes.
What's the secret?
What secret?
Tell me the secret or I kick you out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was
4 words. Like 4 words someone said to you that night?
Yes.
What were the words? You don't have to say it. You can whisper them as softly as you want or write it down.
I'm too scared.
There's nothing here that can hurt you. Who said the words? Male or female?
Female.
Adult or student?
Adult.
What were the words?
I'll tell you next time.
Give me just the first word. Tell me just the first word.
the.
The. The first word is the. Thank you.
Theater camera 3.
There are scientists in Guangzhou, China, that have this therapy that seems to help in coma patients. It's a machine that makes sound waves, and it's so huge you have to put it on a cargo plane that's already flying over the Pacific. And there's a group in Cape Town that are sending these drops that go in your eye and stimulate brain function. All over the earth, in all different ways, people are praying for you.
Catherine?
Sergeant Brock.
I've got bad news. The EEG results came back. None of the body showing brain function.
No brain function that they can measure.
It would register.
You're no scientist. What about happens to them hides the brain waves?
That's not possible.
This isn't possible.
Breathing, but they're as good as dead.
Then why are they making those noises?
Nobody hears those noises but you.
Because I have great hearing.
Or because you want to hear them.
I hear them.
Never shout at me.
I'm sorry.
It's not good for you to eat so much.
It gives me strength.
When was the last time you slept?
I don't need sleep. They're sleeping for me.
That doesn't make any sense. I don't want to lose you too.
Fine. I'll sleep.
Menachap Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4.
Angela, I brought something for you. I hear you're good, and I brought it in case you wanted to play. I'm just gonna set it here. I'd love to hear you play, but in order to do that, I'm gonna have to get close to you. And I'm just gonna reach one hand back here, and I'm gonna... There. Are you okay? Are you too achy to play? How about this?
Sonopody number 1 by Eric Satie. It's famous for being calming, soothing, and Europe parents use it to calm their children.
Beautiful. Now, whenever you're ready, what's the second word?
Plays.
Plays. The plays. And what's the third word? Let the music calm you down.
Not.
Not. The plays not. And what's the fourth word?
Over.
Over. The play's not over. Why does that scare you?
Theater cameras
Angela?
4 and 6. October 14th, 4 p.m.
Sergeant Brock, I figured it out. I know what's going on.
I'm here to escort you out.
No.
Yes, Ephraim.
I figured it out.
We're worried about you.
Haven't you ever had that dream that something scary is coming towards you and you can't move and you can't make a sound, but you can make these tiny little squeaks that people inside the dream can hear? They're trying to scream their way out of there.
Ephraim, you know I like you. I think you respect me.
I do.
But you're not in your right mind.
I'm fine.
I disagree, and I'm ordering you to come with me.
They need me here.
There's no they there anymore.
Then I can hear them.
They're breathing, but they're as good as dead, and the doctor's decision is to take them off life support.
They got it wrong.
I need you to come with me.
Or what?
Or you're fired.
I don't care about that.
No department in the country will hire me.
I'll change careers.
I'm 2 seconds away from dragging you out.
You're not big enough.
I brought Isaac.
I'll slip between the bags.
Get out of this theater right now!
No.
Isaac!
There are still people in those bodies. Listen to me. If you can hear me, I need you to know something. I need you to know that you are loved, that this town loves you, and God loves you, and I love you, and I will not let anything happen to you. But please, if you can hear me, I need you to reach back to me. I give me 1%, and I'll reach you the other 99.
Let's go.
Did you hear that?
I hear it too. They're in there. Let's find a way to get them out.
We've been over this.
Something protected you.
I don't know what.
What was different about that day?
Nothing.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
And the day of the play, the only thing you remember are those 4 words, the play's not over?
I would tell you it's all blank.
Angela, the people in the theater are running out of time. I have a favor I want to ask you.
What?
When you get out of here tomorrow, I want you to come with me to the theater.
No.
I'll be right with you.
I can't.
My guess is when you walk in there, you're going to remember what happened. Let's go through the performance day one more time.
It was a typical Friday. Math, biology, English, social studies, PE, Toastmasters.
Which you said is after school at the Y.
Yeah.
Are you a good speaker?
No, that's the reason why I'm in Toastmasters, because I can't even remember the speech. I mean, my head gets all light, and my chest times up, and oh.
What?
It was my day to speak. My dad's an internist, so he gave me a pill, Enduro. It just keeps the adrenaline flowing so I can breathe normal.
You took a pill that blocks adrenaline?
No, I took 3.
Fear is irrational. Scary movies make us wince, even though there's no way that anything can come out on the screen and hurt us. If anything, theater should be scary.
Unsent email from Marion J. the afternoon of his death.
The Fairnox says, "Can I ask you a question?" And then the victim says, "Yes." And this is a mistake, because then the victim thinks of all the scary things that the secret could possibly be. The Fairnox whispers something. A tiny extension of their scissors punctures the victim's ear and drains every bit of adrenaline from the victim's bodies, and then they fall unconscious. These creatures frighten me. I study them, but I study them at a distance. They're right at the border between the monsters who we pretend scare us and the people who actually do.
Theater cameras 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Final recording.
You can do this.
Who's there?
It's us, Detective Pench, and you remember Angela. You
Yes.
carried her out of here.
Hello. Are you alright?
No,
Being here takes time to get used to.
I know almost every face.
And you can help them. If you can remember what happened, that could make a difference.
Are they all still alone?
We're giving them water, nutrients, but soon that's not going to be enough.
Could you leave us alone for just a bit?
I'll be back. There's others there who need us.
Do you remember where you were sitting?
Right where I am now.
I want you to think about the days leading up to the performance. There were posters all over the school.
Yeah, first they said, "Don't tell the secret," and they changed and said, "Can I tell you the secret?"
And then on the final day, they added the title of the play. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't know the title of the play?
I don't.
It might help to get up on stage.
No.
You made a call from up here. Do you remember it?
I don't.
What's the last thing you remember about that night?
I was running from the parking lot. I was late because of Toastmasters, but it turns out I didn't have to worry. There was some sort of electrical problem that kept us all in the lobby.
Just come up here. I won't let anything happen to you. This is where they found you. Take a deep breath. Now, I want you to lower your head and close your eyes.
Now, on the count of 3, I want you to lift your head and open your eyes. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
911, what's your emergency?
911, what is your emergency?
I'm not sure.
Is it life-threatening?
Yes.
Are you safe right now?
No.
I'm sending someone. More than one. There's cars already underway. What's your name, Chica?
Angela.
Angela?
Angela. I'm sending them to the Hope Box. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
And there's a play tonight. The high school's doing a play. Is that where you are?
Yes.
In the theater?
Yes.
And somebody's hurt.
Everybody.
Where are you in the theater?
I'm just standing on the stage.
Take a very, very deep breath. Hold it.
Angela, what are you thinking about?
The end. Calling for help, knowing it was too late.
I have something I want to show you. This is a program from that night. That's the title of the play.
Trap.
What's wrong?
It should have been obvious.
What?
It was right in front of us. The play was a trap, and it was even called Trap.
But what happened in the play? What was the story about?
That's what it was about.
In the play you were watching, people had fallen unconscious in a theater?
Yes, it was mostly interviews, like a documentary. Everyone had fallen over except one girl.
Okay, and in the play, what had happened to them?
There were these creatures. They were called Fairnaughts. They looked human, but they weren't. They attacked the audience one by one and then all at once.
Okay, that's what happened in the play, but what happened in real life to the people you were with?
The same thing!
No, what made the audience you were with fall unconscious?
Those creatures! They look human, but they're like black widows. They feed on fear.
Those are things in the play, they're not real.
Yes, they are.
I promise they're not.
They confuse people. The play was about all the things that were about to start happening to us. So when they started to happen, we couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't.
Creatures who feed on fear and put on plays. It's ridiculous.
Sounding like they're ridiculous is how they hide.
Look, even if they were real, they're not here now. Take a very deep breath.
Stay away from me! Oh, I wasn't here. I was in the theater.
Are you alright?
I think we're okay. Should we go?
I think I just got a little freaked out.
This place can do that. Do you want me to stay?
Please, for a little bit.
Tell me more about those creatures.
In the final section of the play, which is also called Trap, the Fairnaughts started to attack.
Attack the audience?
Yes.
How did they do that?
One of the girls in the story, she started to walk down into the audience, and she was narrating what she was doing when she stopped in front of a boy, and she whispered something. Can I tell you a secret? The boy nodded. The girl leaned down, and the boy fell over out of his chair. But the audience didn't think anything of it because in the program, he was listed as Fallen Boy. And then the girl moved a few rows up, just a few rows up, analyzing the audience. And she stopped in front of a girl and did the same thing. Can I tell you a secret? She leaned down and
There was something we still couldn't understand. If Fairnock attacks depend on anxiety, why were these people falling over? They didn't think it was real, so they should have been safe. As it turns out, what these people were worried about wasn't death. It was that one of the actors would whisper something into their ear, and they wouldn't know what to do. They had stage fright, which, as it turns out, is just as lethal as the fear of death.
by the time she got to me, I was scared. She leaned down and whispered in my ear, and nothing happened.
You'd taken the Inderal?
Yeah.
How many people had fallen over by then?
A lot.
Why wouldn't somebody have just left?
Because they thought it was just a play. In the middle of it, somebody's cell phone rang. But if you look in the program, they were listed as cell phone boy, so nobody paid attention.
Stop the play!
Who's this?
My name is Kenosha R. Silverling Johnson. Everyone listen up. In a common or matter, please leave the You have to be in theater for your own safety. There is a child in the parking lot and is stuck in a car. You have to go check and make sure that it's not your car.
Worst liar in the entire world.
Please leave!
They think you're part of the play.
You know what I'm saying.
Yes?
You're not human.
What am I then?
Fair enough. You're human, and you are, and you are, and you are. Stay away from them!
They think you're part of the play because you are part of the play.
No, I'm not.
Then why are you in the program?
I'm not.
It says right here, real Kenosha.
This is a trick.
There's a part in the play where you get chased in the woods.
You made up a whole part of the play in case I came back during the attack.
It's part of the script.
There is no script.
Right here.
It's fake. This is a trap. This is all a trap.
It's a high school play.
The perfect trap. Everybody has to come and no one's allowed to leave. You've only lost a few so far, but that'll change fast. First, the lights will go out. You'll hear a crazy loud noise. And then, their eyes will light up as they start to feed. Come on! You have to get out! Get out of your seats!
There's no chance we'll get them out of their chairs.
I don't have to get them out of the chair. I just have to get rid of you.
Good luck.
I've been hiding in the theater the whole time. Prepare no surprise.
What surprise?
If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise. Everybody! They're feeding on your stress! So, smile. Relax yourself from the outside in. Now, take a deep breath. Come on. And relax. I promise you will not be called on to part of this performance. What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
Then why are you wilting?
Bracken, stop! I want to tell you a secret.
No.
If you let me tell you a secret, I'll wake up the rest of the audience.
How?
I can do it.
I believe you.
Your only chance to save them is to believe me. Can I tell you a secret?
Stop smiling. Go ahead. Can I tell you a secret? I took more Indral. Surprise.
Too bad. Lost your remote. And everyone still out there still thinks this is part of the thing.
Everyone but one. Mom! I'm here, sweetheart! Now!
That was the scream I heard that night. The sound of all those people being freed. The best scream you can imagine.
25 days after the events in the old box took place, they came to an end.
My name is Angela Lore, and I survived the Manhattan Veronok attack.
My name is Clinton Barnes, and I survived being in a play.
Maura Aoki. I'm alive because of Kenosha R. Simberlin Johnson.
Kenosha saved my life.
My whole family was in the theater that night. Thank you, Kenosha.
Thank you.
No memory of the event, but it changed. I published 3 papers.
I got a medal.
I got a promotion.
I got a grade.
And I got Kenosha.
For a few weeks last year, the town of Manitowoc, California became famous. What had happened seemed impossible. Psychologists wrote it off as an example of mass hysteria. People getting scared in a place that already scared them.
I lived through the events, and even I'm not sure. Did it really happen, or was it like the eye in the peephole? And it was just me scaring me.
Is that it needs to confuse the predator.
Why would a play have a false ending?
What's real, what's not.
Sorry everyone, we're running a little late. We're having some trouble with the lights.
The prey is most calm when it thinks it has escaped.
The spider's not
I'm almost out of the woods! It was just me scaring me.
Recursion, a high school play about a high school play.
You tell an audience you're going to die, and they'll stay in their seats because they don't want to miss it.
All Farradox are 16 years old. Except one.
People are naturally afraid of the dark.
Can I tell you a secret?
Can I tell you a secret?